Welcome to 2016 Presidential Candidate Interviews. Today I am interviewing James Rodriguez. He is running as a Republican. Hello, Mr. Rodriguez, and welcome to the interview.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Well, thank you. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a great day. I've been doing a lot of campaigning, meeting a lot of people, and things are going wonderful. Like I said, it's just an honor to be here.
Well, that's good to hear. Let's give the listeners an opportunity to get to know you. I'm going to ask some very simple icebreaker type questions. Describe your family.
I have a very average-sized family. I have 3 children, a wonderful wife. We've been married for 24 years. All my children are doing great. My daughter, oldest, is married and a teacher, which is what she loves to do most of her life. She wanted to be a teacher. My son is in college, and our youngest one is a junior in high school. And we are a big family unit type family. We talk all the time. We see each other. We converse. I'll just say it's an average family, what we are. We just enjoy it, spend a lot of time together, and doing a lot of things together.
All right. Describe your employment and your work experience.
I left home at 17 years of age, and I joined the Army. I stayed in for 20 years, active duty, serving our country at various duty stations. Retired out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, as a first sergeant in the Army at E8. Since retirement, I did a few odd and end jobs just to try to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I ended up opening a small business, which has been running now for several years, and have about 6 or 7 employees that are there, if you count me, 7 employees, and we're enjoying it a lot, and we're doing very well. So basically, like I said, I left home at 17, joined the Army, retired, and now I work as a small business owner here in North Carolina.
All right. What are your hobbies and your interests?
I like to work with wood, like to build things, like to fix cars. I really enjoy riding my motorcycle as much as possible when the weather permits and the rain, it's not raining. And I enjoy trying to play golf. I'm not going to say I'm any good at it, but I really enjoy trying to play golf. So those are the things I like to do. All
right. Favorite restaurant to eat out?
My favorite restaurant to eat out is any place that serves a good steak. Any steakhouse that's out there, I like to try them all. I'm a big meat and potatoes guy, steak and potatoes guy, so I enjoy any restaurant that has steak in it.
Do you have a favorite fast food joint?
Unfortunately, I would have to say yes, I do enjoy fast food, and my favorite one of all is McDonald's. I just love I love McDonald's, and I probably eat there way too much than I should. So.
Okay. And any favorite junk food?
Junk food, I like chips and, my wife's homemade cookies, things like that. I eat way too much of those, but they don't usually last too long in my house.
Okay.
Between me and my kids. So.
Favorite TV show and movies?
I really enjoy the original Law and Order series. I like that drama, suspense type stuff that goes on there and see what they do. And I enjoy I'm a Star Trek and a Star Wars fan, and I enjoy watching the Star Trek movies and the Star Wars movies as well.
Okay. Any pets?
I do. We have one dog. His name is Buster. He's a long-legged Jack Russell, and he's my shadow and my buddy. Wherever I go, he's there. So we're 2 peas in a pod.
And the final icebreaker question. Name a song that you would consider a life anthem, a motto, something that represents who you are.
There's a song by Mercy Me, a group called Mercy Me. They sang a song called I Can Only Imagine. I can't say that I'm the most religious person in the world, but I do believe in God, and I think of that a lot as how I would present myself before my Maker and what I've done in my life, and it just makes me think of how I can try to better myself. So I really enjoy listening to that song over and over again.
On to the issues-based questions. The first one, why are you running for president?
I'm running for president of the United States for a main reason. We have too many career politicians that have taken over our country, not only in the presidency but in Congress as well. We have too many individuals that have forgotten what it's like to be at the working class level like we are. where it is a day-to-day struggle. There are people that are out there that have struggled before in their life, but now they're doing well, and I'm proud of them. But they don't know what it's like to struggle in today's time period, the struggles and issues that we go through as the middle class in today's world over the past 5 or 10 years, the things that we have to go through in order to make it on a day-to-day basis. And the politicians and our leaders that are supposed to be there, our so-called leaders, have forgotten about us. And we need someone to get in there that's going to remember the middle class, take us for being serious, to know that the people are running the country and not them. And that's why I'm running for President of the United States.
Okay. What abilities would you bring to the office of President?
The abilities that I bring to the office of the President of the United States is one of leadership after serving 20 years in the United States Army. And being deployed all around the world since the time I joined the Army in '89, so I retired in 2009. I have been just about to every continent that's out there. I have met with foreign dignitaries at every level, from the local level to the national level. I have the ethics and the values and the respect from my military experience in order to lead our country, to make the tough decisions. It may not always be the most popular decision, but to make the right decision and to make sure that it is best beneficial for America and not beneficial for the individual that, is out there. Basically, I have a T-shirt. I've done that. I've been around. I've seen it. I probably have more foreign policy experience than our current leaders that are out there that claim they've been to Iraq and Afghanistan on numerous occasions, but they haven't been there for months or years at a time like I have. And I've been, again, to other countries around where I've met leaders, again, at every level, and been able to help them make decisions and to foster an environment that is not only beneficial for them, but more especially beneficial for the United States and for our needs and wants. So those are the abilities that I would bring to the President of the United States. As far as a domestic agenda, as a veteran, I understand the problems that are going on for our veterans that are out there with the Veterans Administration. The current crisis is going on. I have a personal story that I could tell with my own health issues and trying to receive the proper health treatment from the Veterans Administration. I've been there. I've done that. I have a T-shirt. I'm actually on the ground going through those problems. I'm not sitting as part of the elite that is running our country on both sides of the demographics, whether it be on the left or the right. But I'm there. I have been there. I have done it. I've seen it. I live it every day. And those are the abilities that I would bring as President of the United States on both a foreign and a domestic agenda.
Are there any presidents you have a positive opinion of who have aspects of their presidency you would want to emulate?
That's a great question. We've had very good presidents. We've had some mediocre ones, and we've had some that haven't been so good. But going through, I'm a big history buff. I'm a big constitutionalist. And I have to tell you that, in my opinion, the presidents that I would like to emulate the most would be either Theodore Roosevelt or Dwight D. Eisenhower. And the reason for that is those two individuals together, if you go back and look at history of what they have done, they have actually taken what was under the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. They've actually made it so everybody that was during their presidency, everybody was treated equally. For example, Eisenhower, he ended segregation in the ranks of the military. Theodore Roosevelt, he was there. He put America back to work in several projects that he was doing. He created jobs, and he made sure that everybody was treated fairly and everybody was treated the same. And that's what we have to get back to in America. There is no one above the law. There is no one under the law. We are all equal. We all deserve to be treated equally. And those two gentlemen right there, when they were serving as president, they made sure that everybody was treated equally. They treated everybody fair. And that's what running this country is about. It's not treating somebody differently or giving special appreciation to one group or another. It's about what you can do for somebody else, what you can do for everybody, what you can do to make it so we're all equal. We all have the same chance to achieve that American dream.
Okay. Are there any presidents you have a less than favorable opinion of who have aspects of their presidencies you definitely would not want to emulate?
Yes, there are. There are two that come to mind very particular. The first one is our current president, President Obama. I believe that he is run more of a totalitarian style government under his presidency, and our Congress has let him do that. but using the executive power, but at will as he thinks he needs to by, he says, I have a pen and a phone, and Congress doesn't want to act, and that's not the way our Constitution was written. But he gets that same line from what you call the Wilsonian individuals who believe in the Constitution. You have the Madisonian and the Wilsonians. President Wilson, when he was there as a very progressive, he's another one I wouldn't want to emulate because he's the one that took and basically tried to expand the powers of the president to override or go bypass Congress, not override them, but bypass Congress, and to get his way. Very progressive, very liberal, and that the government should be there for every aspect of your life. And those two presidents, Obama and Wilson, both believe that the government knows more about your life than you do. They know how more take care of you than you do. And that's something that I am deeply, deeply against, that the individual is smarter than the government, and that's why the individual has the power and not the government. And those two individuals, that's something I would never, ever emulate in a presidency, if I was to be elected.
All right, moving on to another topic. Are there any functions of government you would like to decrease or even abolish?
Yeah, there's always several out there that people talk about, and you have different agencies that may not be doing as well or don't seem to have a function, but there's two that come to mind in general for me, well, not in general, but very specific, that I feel that do not have a actual, reason to be there. Their functionality is not there. One of them is the Department of Education. We have taken education away from our parents, from our communities, from our states in order to educate our children. We've actually fallen in the past 15 years. We're no longer in the top 5 in education in the world. Because of that our federal government is taking full control. The No Child Left Behind standards. The federal government gets too involved in what can and can't be taught in the schools based on what they feel is right and not what the parents and communities feel is right. And I feel if we go back to, the 1950s and before area when our children were taught the proper history, they were taught the proper ethics, they were taught the proper ways to learn and to be citizens of the world in school, that we stood out much better. And we've gotten away from that. To where teachers now can't control. And again, my daughter, like I said, she's a teacher right now, and, her hands are tied a lot on what she can and can't teach and how she can teach because of the federal government stands that are out there. And I would eliminate the Department of Education and reallocate those funds into different government functions that are out there, different government agencies, and I would put the responsibility back on the parents and the local communities with the help of the states, and because that's what the states are there for. The federal government is not in charge of running education for our children. The other one that I would abolish would be the IRS. This is not so much, this is a popular issue that a lot of people say, but I would abolish the IRS. The taxation code is tremendous. As a small business owner and as an individual current citizen here in our country, we have been taxed to the hilt, and there's no reason for it. And there's some other issues for that that we'll go into, I'm sure, later on. But the IRS has so many codes that are out there, so many regulations, that the individual can barely make it. Any money they make, almost half of that is gone to the federal government in order for the federal government to spend, and not on behalf of the citizen. So I would abolish those two right there, the IRS and the Department of Education.
Okay. Are there any functions of government you would like to increase, or is there anything not in existence that you feel should be in existence?
That's a good question. As far as being in existence right now, I think we have the government has done everything they can to cover from A to Z and then some. We have too many government agencies as it is, so I don't think I would be creating any, but I do feel there are some agencies out there that would be needed to be beefed up and increased in funding, and to let them have more authority over what's going on and to give them more equipment and tools in order to do their job. The first one, of course, would be the Department of Defense. As a retired military individual, I feel that our military should be bigger and stronger. I believe that we should be out there as a deterrent for the rest of the world to know that we mean business. We have the best trained and equipped military in the world, but yet we are cutting it down. We are having the largest cut down we've had since the 1990s, and we're going to have a smaller Army than we had before I joined the Army in 1989. That's not something that is smart in the world that we live in today, with ISIS being out there, the Islamic radical terrorists that are out there, the Islamic radical state of Iran. This is not the time and place for us to be cutting a military. We should be having a bigger military. That's one that I would increase. The other one that I would increase would be the Border Patrol in order to protect our borders, both north and south, as these lone wolves are trying to come across, as our influx of illegal immigrants are coming across, both north and south. I would increase the Border Patrol's capability and financially in order to give them the tools that they need and to make sure that they have the resources that are out there for them to be able to do their job correctly and protect our borders. And last but not least, I would be funding more or increase the size of our intelligence gathering community. Again, based on an international threat coming from overseas, with the extreme Islamic terrorists that are out there in the world we live in today, we need to be a step ahead of the game here. We need to be ahead of them. And we can't do that if we're cutting it from them, which the current administration is doing now.
All right, next topic, somewhat related, how you fund all that stuff. Describe your stance and your approach to taxes and taxation.
That's another hot topic around here too. Taxation, again, as you just brought up. How am I going to fund all these things? Well, first of all, with the Department of Education, I'm going to eliminate that, and there's several $1 billion that are allocated to that. That is no longer going to be there, and we're going to help distribute that to the states. But there's also going to be a little bit left over that we're going to distribute some from there. As far as the IRS goes and abolishing them, all those tax codes, and how are we going to make money for our government if we don't have an IRS income tax coming in? Well, I propose that we eliminate the income tax, we eliminate the payroll tax. There's several other taxes out there, the death tax, capital gains tax, that are out there. You're taxing money on more than one occasion, which is not fair to the individual, the common American that's out there trying to make it. But I was looking at a study here that was done, and I'm actually using a liberal source here from Time Magazine that was done 3 years ago. And on average, every second, on average, I don't know how that becomes an average, but that's their words, on average, $6 million is spent every second in America on consumable goods. $6 million. And the amount of money that's transacted on consumable goods, if you break that, if you do the math on that and bring it down to 365 days out of the year, and the amount of consumable goods that are done just on internet sales and just on people walking in, that's not the consumable goods that are done by corporations and factories that are using consumable goods to make another consumable good. But just on those consumable goods alone, it comes to $387 trillion a year that we are spending just on those consumable goods alone, just the end product to the American public. If we were to tax a 2% national sales tax on that, where everybody pays for what you only get taxed when you buy something, and it's at a 2%, we could raise over $3 trillion a year for the federal government. That's more money than we're bringing in now. That's more money than we're bringing in now when only 15 to 25% of the American population is paying into taxes. That means more people get to keep their money when it comes to their paycheck. When somebody makes $8, $10, $15, $20 an hour, they actually make $8, $10, $15, $20 an hour. They don't have to give a portion of that back to the federal government. The payroll tax is abolished by, so the employer is not paying that payroll tax and trying to pass it on to the employees because they're having a rough time because they're taxed so much on everything else. And again, I know this as a small businessman. I mean, the federal government has so many taxes out there. The way the tax brackets are configured right now, for example, for me, and what I do is I own an automobile repair business that based on my gross, I'm actually up 4 or 5 tax brackets than I would if I wasn't in business for myself. I get taxed on that money both personally and off the business. So I'm actually paying double taxes on that through myself and through the business because the federal government says I'm in a tax bracket above of what I gross. Not what I make, but what I gross. And that's not fair to other small business owners that are out there. It's not fair to the employers. It's not fair to the employees. All the money that they make, again, almost up to, depending on where you're at, almost 50% of that goes back to the federal government. And if we were to institute a national sales tax and abolish the IRS, we're going to have over $3 trillion a year that's coming into our federal government to pay for our programs. There's many places that we've got to trim the fat on. There's many things that are out there that we're doing that we need to stop. And we have to go through those line by line and look at them, just like looking at a profit and loss statement. We have to treat our federal government and its budget just like a P&L. We have to, just like a family has to treat their budget. If we can't afford it, we can't do it. We've got to trim things. Okay, we can't do this, we can't do that. But the federal government is not there to provide every resource for the people. The federal government is there to protect the people. They are there to ensure that everyone is treated equally under the law. We are there to establish our policies and procedures that everybody gets a same fair shake to the American dream. They are not there to tax the American people to death. And that's what's going on. We are funding too many nonsense policies from our people to the federal government, and the people are hurting from it. They're not getting anything in return. So the American people's investment on that is seeing a zero return. We need somebody in there that's actually going to make a decision to say, no, we don't want to do that. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to take that extra money, we're going to push it over here, or we're not going to be able to do anything at all with that because we don't have the funds for it. Every American has to live by that day to day on their personal budget. And it's time the federal government started doing that. But again, if we took and instituted a national sales tax, you're only going to pay when you buy something. So you buy a car, you're going to pay a 2% sales tax on that to the federal government. You buy a candy bar, you're going to pay a 2% sales tax on that to the federal government. And that's where the federal government's going to get their money. And again, $387 trillion a year that is collected from consumable goods. That tax on that at 2% is over $3 trillion that comes to the federal government. And that's my stance on taxes and how we get away with it to get more money back in the pockets of the American people.
All right, next topic, not related to taxes, well, maybe in a little bit of a way, but describe your stance, your perspective, and your approach to the abortion pro-choice issue.
Yeah, that's a very hot button issue topic that's been going around, obviously, since Roe versus Wade came around. You know, and I respect a woman's opinion to the right to her body, but the way I was raised and what I believe that life starts at conception, I do not believe in abortion. I believe in the individual liberties and the individual rights of a woman, 110% completely. I have 2 daughters, and I have a wife. I have a mother, and I have 2 sisters. However, the life that has been created in the womb of a woman is a life in itself and should be protected. When I'm elected President of the United States, I will not allow that unborn child to be without a voice. That unborn child will be protected. I do not believe in abortion. I do not believe it is okay to harvest it for science projects or for gene manipulation or for future health treatments that are out there. I believe it is a life that should be treated as a life. It is a human being from conception. It may not look like one, but that's what it is. You know, in 3 weeks, arms and limbs are moving, the heart is beating, blood is flowing, thought processes are happening. It's just growing. And the abortion people that are out there, the pro-choice that are out there, are using it as a birth control method. And in my opinion, that's not what it is. Abortion was not here to be made as birth control or a mistake that she made. The right to life is given to every person under our Constitution. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life was written first. Every person, every human being, no matter how big or small, has that right. And, you know, on a side note of that, you know, everybody always says, well, what about the death penalty? I don't believe in the death penalty either. I don't believe it's right to take life. We are not the judge and jury of individuals. We are the judge and jury of individuals, but we are not the judge to be able to take life from anybody because that's guaranteed by our founders from our Creator in the document we call the Constitution. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So when it comes to abortion, I do not agree with abortion. I will not fund abortion. I will not support abortion. I will do everything in my power to eliminate abortion and make sure that every human being has a right to life.
Okay. Next question. As a military person, you might have a unique perspective on this. Sure. What role should our military play in the world?
Well, our military is not the police of the world. We have been trying to do that for whatever reason since, after World War II. Our military is, like I said before, is the most well-equipped, most disciplined, well-respected, and feared in the world. However, we're losing some of that ground right now. We go into a situation or the president orders the military into an area for as an extension of their diplomacy, and they go in there with rules of engagement with their hands tied. Our military was not designed to be policemen of the world. We are here to defend our sovereignty and defend our interests around the world with our allies and our friends. We are not there to police the rest of the world. The military was created as an extension of diplomacy. If we are going to send our military in somewhere, for example, I'll give you a great example, Iraq and Afghanistan. Those are two major issues that are going on right now where we have troops deployed. Most of our troops are deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they have such a rules of engagement by the President of the United States and by the countries that they are in that they almost can't defend themselves without having fear of reprisal. That's not what our military is for. The role of our military should be to defend our interests without passion. We should go in there, and when the President of the United States orders the military in, it should be at the discretion of our military leaders that we put in place to go in there and achieve our objective, secure the objective, and then bring them home. We are not there to be policemen of the world with our military. Our military has too many good men and women that are in there that want to do the right thing, but they also have families and they want to come home. The military is tired, and it is gone out. And to leave us in Iraq and Afghanistan and to do a drawdown that the current administration is doing is idiotic. I have no idea what the president is thinking, and I have no idea what the Secretary of Defense is doing and agreeing with that. If you are going to have a well-feared military throughout the world, and you're going to have the military used for what it needs to be used for, they have to be strong, and our enemies have to know that they will be used without any rules of engagement, and they will go in there to achieve an objective, which is to win. Just like we did in World War II, just like we did in World War I. When we go in there, we are there to make a statement and to defend the interest and the sovereignty of the United States. So that's what I feel that our military's role is in the world.
What is your approach to immigration and border security?
Well, our borders right now are broken. Our immigration system is non-existent. We have laws right now that are on the books that we are not even enforcing because the president wants to declare amnesty. We have cities out there that are actually breaking federal law and offering sanctuary cities and issuing driver's licenses, and there are suits out there right now in the federal courts to allow, illegal immigrants the opportunity to vote in elections. Those are all against the law, and we're not enforcing them. My approach would be to take some of that money when we close down the Department of Education and we close down the IRS, is to beef up security, to beef up manpower, to beef up equipment with our Border Patrol and secure our borders. Work with the governors that are on borders, such as Texas, Arizona, Montana, New York, and work with those governors and work with the National Guard to be able to increase our security, increase our watch, to ensure that we are protected. You know, we have a problem right now, like I said before, with lone wolves that are coming in. There's been statements of jihad issued by ISIS and other terrorist organizational cells that are out there that they want to do damage to the United States. Right now, there are several thousand per day. In the last report that I looked at, as many as 25,000 illegal immigrants are coming across the border every day in the United States. Who is going to stop one of them lone wolves that are out there? Now, I'm not saying that these policies are going to prevent everyone from coming in that shouldn't be here, or it's going to make everyone want to go through the legal process, but it's a start. We have to start somewhere. We don't have the funds right now to build a wall. I know that there's one of the candidates out there that says he wants to build a wall from Arizona all the way down to Texas. That's great. But what about our northern border? What are we going to do about that? There are people that come through our northern border who are just as bad as those who come through our southern border. Any illegal immigrant, no matter where they come from, whether it's from the Middle East, whether it's from Latin America, whether it's from Asia, everybody has to be treated as the same as an illegal immigrant, and they have to go through the process. But we need more funds with our Border Patrol. We need to work with our governor states, our governors on border states. We need to work with the National Guard in those states to make sure that our security is there and actually enforce the policies that are on our books. Am I for deporting every illegal immigrant that's here? Yes, I am. There is a process to get in line and become a U.S. citizen. All good immigrants that come through here and go through the system will tell you it's one of the best things they did. I have several people that I know that are immigrants in the United States, and they enjoy, they cherish the ability to go through what they did as far as becoming a citizen and being called an American. To do it in a legal way, to say that you have a right to come here because we're American, once you're here, you have certain rights. That's not true. The Constitution only applies to you when you're a citizen of this country, and there's a proper way to do it. And right now, our current administration is letting anybody and everybody in, and the reason why they're doing it is they're doing it so they can get more votes for their party. And that when it becomes a political process of immigration, that's where we have failed. Did you know we're the only country in the world that allows people to come in the way they have and give them amnesty? All over the world, and just about every other country that I've been to in the world, you have to go through a strict process, and sometimes in some countries it takes up to 3 generations before you become a citizen of that country. But yet our policies are so bad, we're so inhumane, as many people on the left are saying, about letting people come into this country, where they say we're so bad the way our policies are. We are actually the nicest ones on the planet to let other people into our country. Well, I know we're a nation of immigrants. We've always been a nation of immigrants from the start. However, there is a legal process to become a citizen of the United States. And it started from the beginning. It's not something new. It's just that the current policies that are out there are not being enforced by the administration and those who are in power right now.
Next question, sort of related. How do you perceive the issue of race and discrimination in America? And do you still face challenges?
We're always going to face challenges. People who are different are going to be looked upon different, and unfortunately, a lot of that is taught, and we have to get away from that. And we have to make sure that we are, as a country, are providing the values that everyone that is a citizen of this country deserves equal protection under the law. One of the biggest problems that we have with race relations, and we're never going to get out of it unless we change the hyphenated Americanism that's going on in our country. I remember growing up as a kid, and not that I'm that old, back in the 70s and 80s, you were either American or you were something else. You were never a Hispanic American. You were never an African American. You were never an Asian American. You were an American or you were something else. America has come last. You are an American first, and that's it. You're either American or you're not. I understand the history of where you come from. I understand your traditions. I understand your love of your home country, of where you considered home to where you come from. But if you're here in America and you're a citizen of this country and you are living here, America is your home. You are an American. You must assimilate to our values. You must assimilate to our culture. That's what Theodore Roosevelt said. Theodore Roosevelt said any immigrant that comes in here and does not assimilate to our country and always thinks about his country and his tradition, his culture, is not an American and will never be an American until they assimilate to be an American. And that's what we have to do as far as race relations go. We can't be something else an American. We all must be an American, and we all must be treated equally under the law. We all have a stake in this. We all have to be treated fairly by everybody else. And basically the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. But until we realize that we're all Americans, again, like we were 30, 40 years ago, it's not going to get fixed. We must get away from identifying everybody as something else than American. And until that's fixed, the race relations in America won't get fixed.
All right, we're coming up on about 10 minutes left in the interview,
Sure.
And there's 5 more questions.
Sure.
Just making you aware. What role should the federal government have in health care?
The federal government should get out of health care. A good example, we have the Veterans Administration that's out there for our veterans, and we see that it's failing miserably. The federal government can't run health care if their life depended on it. It should be left up to the free enterprise system, where what we had before the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act came out, and we had the best care in America, and it was competed on by businesses and medical businesses to get the best care at the lowest price possible, to attract those individuals to their health care to be taken care of. People from all over the world used to come see us to get that health care. The Jordanian king came here and got taken care of, with his health problems before he passed away. And, everybody in the world came here to America. We still have the best health care, but we don't have the health care we had before the mandatory Obamacare was forced on everybody. And we have proof of that through Obamacare, and we have proof of that through the Veterans Administration. The federal government should stay out of health care.
What priority would you give repair of infrastructure, and what role should the federal government have in maintaining infrastructure?
The federal government has a big role in infrastructure, with trade, interstate trade, and moving of goods across state lines. And when that happens, of course, the federal government should be in there. And the federal government should be allocating more funds to the states for that in order to assist them. Of course, states have the ability to raise money to take care of inside their own borders. But with the federal highway system that was adopted by Eisenhower in the 1950s and built then, we have a responsibility as federal government to ensure that our roads, our infrastructure, our railroads, our bridges, our airlines, all of our moving industry is taken care of and the infrastructure is there. The federal government does play a role in that, and we need to make sure that we are listening to the states and what they need and not directing the states on what needs to be done.
All right, some people see a conflict of interest between gathering intelligence to fight terror and upholding personal liberties, privacy, rights, all that. Do you think there's a conflict of interest, and how do you handle this complex issue?
Unfortunately, there's going to be a conflict of interest to someone at some point in time. And the best example I can give to you is, like I said, I retired out of Fort Bragg, and I have the ability to get on post because I'm a retired ID card holder. But honestly, I have no business being on post and knowing what's going on there for my protection. If I know it, the enemy can know. Our intelligence gathering information that's out there needs to be on a need-to-know basis. They need to be able to take risks. They need to be able to do certain things in order to protect us. And sometimes liberties are violating. Sometimes liberties are taken just a little bit too far. But sometimes those need to be done. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few of the one. I'm not saying by no means do we need to sacrifice somebody for the greater good. But sometimes personal liberties need to be sacrificed. Sometimes a little bit of your freedom needs to be sacrificed in order to protect you. That's what one of the reasons the federal government is there, is to protect for the greater good, the common defense of the people. And we have to defend them against those threats that are out there. And sometimes those personal liberties from our intelligence gathering community is going to infringe on those. But, again, you either have it, you can't have it both ways. You can't have where they don't infringe and be protected. Something's got to give, and we have to find that happy medium in concert to where that's going to be.
Kind of a sensitive topic, but it matters to a lot of people. What role does faith, religion, spirituality play in your life, and what type of role would it play for you as president? There's not really a right or wrong answer, or it's not a litmus test. It's just one of those things people are inquisitive about.
I have faith. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I have faith, and I believe anybody that puts their religion over the government is unfit to be president. I am a big believer in the Bible. I read the Bible. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm not afraid to say it. But at the same time, Jesus also told me there are laws out there that have to be followed. Jesus said, give unto God what is God's and give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That means follow the law. If there are laws that are out there, we must follow them. We've always been a society of laws. Every society that's out there that has been anything at all, no matter big or small, has always followed the precepts of the Ten Commandments. You shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. The Ten Commandments are embedded in all societies throughout the world, both past and present. So there are laws that are out there that have to be followed. We must follow the law of the land that is out there. You cannot put your religion above that, but you can also believe in your God and ask for help. You can believe in your Creator and ask for help. You can believe in a Supreme Being and ask for help, or you can believe in yourself and ask for help. But under no circumstances should the religion ever come in to dictate how a policy is supposed to be done. Unfortunately, we cannot legislate morality. We cannot dictate values, but we have to be according to our own deeds of how we treat others, and the laws of the land are over that.
All right, time for some closing remarks. In 2 to 4 minutes, tell us why we should vote for you, and feel free to include any other issues you want to get off your chest that weren't covered.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate this time that you spent with me today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the reason why that I would be the best person to run our country is because I have been here and done that since I've become of age. People have told me as I go out and meet people, what are your qualifications for President of the United States? I'm over the age of 35. I'm a natural-born citizen, and I've been a resident of this country for over 14 years. By the Constitution, that makes me qualified. But I have seen and gone through the trials and tribulations of the middle class because I'm one of them. I live in it every day, and I know what we need to do to get this country back on track. That great shining light on the hill that Ronald Reagan talked about, that was back then in the 80s when he was running for president. We as America have different problems today. I know that. We're living in that right now, and how are we going to do that? With my military experience and knowing how the Middle East works, and being able to deal with foreign dignitaries, and being as a veteran dealing with the VA on a personal level. I have been there and done that. I know the problems that are out there. I know the issues that are facing Americans, the average, everyday American, because that's what I am. I'm not a career politician. I have no special interest. I do not believe in 2 terms for the President of the United States. If you can't get done in 4 years what you say you want to get done, there's no reason we should be giving you another 4 years. I just want this country fixed. I want it to be to where you can fly an American flag anywhere in this country without reprisal, where you can wear a shirt that has the American flag on it. Nobody's going to say anything to you or be offended. To where America is number one again, to where we in the world are feared and revered, to where allies stand shoulder to shoulder with us. We don't have to listen to the rest of the world. The United Nations does not control us. We are America. This is our country. This is not everybody else's country. We as Americans, this is our country. We have problems, but America is not the problem, as a lot of the people in the current administration would like you to believe. We are not going to bow down to others who want to put fear in us and who want to be wicked to us and be evil to us. We are going to put fear in them. We are America. We were born in this country in the late 1700s, and we've been here for over 200 years, and we've been nothing but great. But we can be greater and we can be better. And have somebody that's in power right now who's never had to struggle, and to vote for somebody else who's out there who's never had to struggle and not know the problems of the middle class, they will not again take care of you. They're going to look over you. We need somebody who's the average American to run this country to be great again, to understand the needs of the people. And I will follow the Constitution to the letter of the law. The Constitution is the document. It is the only document that runs our government. And it outlines the specific duties of every branch that's out there, and I will make sure that it's followed. I will make sure that the money you make is yours to keep. I'll make sure the federal government stays out of your life, and the federal government's process that is there is only to provide for the common defense and to make sure that you are treated equally under the law. And that's what we're going to do again, and we're going to be great again. And I'm having a good time doing it. I'm meeting a lot of people that are with me, and every day the base is growing larger and larger. And that's why we need somebody like me, James Rodriguez, for president.
All right. Thank you for participating in the interview. Thank you to my listeners for listening. Be sure to check back in the future for more candidate interviews. Remember to keep informed and keep involved.